Hancock's propaganda operation extends into the continent and reaches beyond activism into the scene of terrorism. Paris, rendezvous with Ray Hill. Here he has undertaken several intelligence missions and has discovered the Hancock connection with a world of violence. Is there an international terrorist network?
Yes.
How do you know about that?
Well, I learned about it when I spent some time down in Brighton with the Hancock family.
Yeah, what happened then in Brighton?
I was invited down there and met Alex Ormove, who invited me to spend some time in France.
Who is Alex Ormove?
Alex Ormove was a member of FARN, the French National Socialist movement. And he invited me to spend some time in France with him. And I was asked to provide safe housing for Mark Frederickson, who was the leader of FARN and was under suspicion or investigation for some sort of criminal offences at the time.
Where did you go?
I stayed in a flat in Rue Maurice, Clichy, in Paris.
Which number?
Number 19.
Whose flat was it?
It belonged to Yan Tran Lon, a Vietnamese.
And who is he? What's his connection with this organization?
He's a member of FARN. Yeah? Could you get them?
The Clichy flat, which Ray Hill has already discovered as a right-wing armory, also serves as a guest house for overseas comrades of the outlawed but still operational underground FARN organization. A safe house for wanted terrorists from all over Europe, especially Germany and Spain. In the summer of 1983, the French police discover the safe house, raid it, and arrest a Spanish fascist wanted by Interpol, who fled his country on the day he was to start serving 10 years in a Madrid jail. This is him, Lorenzo Martinez, member of Franco's Falange movement, found guilty of the brutal murder of 2 Spanish communists in a Madrid bar. The Spanish government asks for his extradition. The court of Versailles agrees.
Por falangista y por patriota español, y porque en España no hay democracia verdadera, solamente para los marxistas. ¡Arriba España!
Martinez sought refuge with his French comrades. Others, also operational in Spain, would move to Britain. Marbella, Christmas 1982. In one of the biggest robberies of this century, the safes of the Bank of Andalusia are spectacularly emptied overnight. Suspect number 1 is an Italian neo-Nazi and fugitive, then on the run from Italian anti-terrorist police, named Luciano Petroni. He will be arrested in London a year later and extradited by a British court. Petroni, suspected of numerous robberies and murdering 2 policemen in Italy, had lived in central London with his girlfriend, but had continued his political activity with other suspected right-wing Italian terrorists, their charge sheets even longer than Petroni's. Their extradition from Britain was refused as a result of administrative errors by the Italian authorities. This group of Italians had been sheltered in various safe houses in northwest and south London, helped by members of the British League of St. George. Now the Italians are involved in a political takeover bid of the National Front, but their initial British contact was made through Ray Hill.
I was in touch with a chap called Max Bowen, who is now doing 15 years imprisonment in South Africa for causing explosions. And through him, I was contacted by an Enrico Maselli, who asked me to visit him in London. I did visit him and was asked could I provide safe housing for Italian fascists in the near future.
And when was this meeting?
In 1980. This was only a matter of weeks, a couple of months at the most, before Bologna. And when Bologna took place, of course, I put 2 and 2 together.
Meaning that the safe houses were for Italians?
Clearly for the Italians responsible for building them.
82 people perished in the biggest right-wing terror attack Europe has seen since the war. Were fascists frustrated knowing that democracy would not get them into power? Were they trying to provoke a right-wing political reaction through terror? Perhaps. Certainly, London served as a hiding place afterwards, and also as a base for planning further violence. The French neo-Nazi Jan Tran Long, whose Paris flat Ray Hill visited, stayed here in this West London bedsit for a year, studying English and engaging in less innocent activities. Our photographer was there when Tran Long met Ray Hill in London.
I received a telephone call asking me to meet him, which I did. He offered me weapons for sale.
Did you ask for weapons to sell?
No, he offered them to me. He gave me a price list. There's a photocopy of it in his handwriting.
What does it say?
Detonators.
10 quid.
Yeah.
Guns?
Guns.
400 quid.
400 quid. Submachines, 400 quid. And ammunition of various prices.
Tran Long gave you the original of this piece of paper in London?
He wrote it in my presence in the Winter Bar in King's Cross.
Once a year, they all get together, Europe's extreme right-wingers, young and old, in the Flemish town of Dixmude. For a whole weekend, the place is taken over by more than 40,000 so-called nationalists, demonstrating their loyalty to Flemish Germanic ideals to the tune of South African hymns. Among the foreign guests attending this dubious festival, Ray Hill, here to investigate the source of racist books and pamphlets flooding into Europe. He meets up with Hitler imitators from Germany, FAN members from France, and a selection of extremist Dutch and British youth at their first political meeting with their European brothers. The Belgian authorities are impotent in the face of this invasion, and, for example, allow open propaganda for the heroism of these ex-Waffen-SS volunteers. In this atmosphere, racist activists recharge their batteries with literature of the kind we've seen before, the denial of Nazi crimes, produced and distributed by the Hancock operation in England. Hill identifies the intellectual source of this rewriting of history as an American publication called the Journal of Historical Review, published by the Los Angeles-based Institute for Historical Review. The Institute also holds a totally secluded annual conference for invited guests only. Their invitation says that only screened participants may attend and will be met upon arrival at Los Angeles Airport to be taken to the secret conference site. So we wait for them at the airport. We follow at a distance, en route for the top-level gathering of so-called revisionist thinkers, which has never been filmed or photographed before.